Oh, now, good tuber, talk about politics. You're trying to kill me here, aren't you? Oh, that's, I guess, a portrait's words after the most recent Obama-Hillary. I'm going to talk about this. And I've watched a bit of it. And then I want to talk about logic, which seems to be elusive. And it's only because it's bothered me. I'm going to give you I'm going to answer actually point by point on your other video. And seriously, thank you for the kudos. But I'm just another silly little opinion. I'm very blunt when it comes to talking about things because it's what I believe. There's a few things. One, I'm not quite sure why people are so tentative to talk about the fact that they are scared. I have been scared of Obama being assassinated to the point where actually they say you shouldn't even use that word. You shouldn't use the word assassinate. I mean, it's interesting because that's what happens. Now, going to Hillary, and I'm not a fan of hers. However, her statement in staying in through June now because of the fact that, something like that could happen only makes me, well, there's two things that it does to me. One, it makes me feel like Obama's going to be taken care of a bit better because she's not going to want blood on her hands because if anything happens to him, she has no chance at the presidency and could actually go to McCain, which is really mind-twisting. But has anyone else thought of this? Has anyone not thought about the fact that after the statement that she has now made, if something does indeed happen to Barack Obama, that blood on her hands could mean to a victory for McCain? Had to ask. I've seen a lot of parodies on what Hillary did, and I haven't seen anything coming from that angle. This isn't a parody. I'm just asking a straight-up question. The fact that people don't talk about that race is an issue. Race is a huge issue. To ignore the fact that we have major issues in this country when it comes to people being prejudiced is just outright ignorant. As far as women as minorities, sure. Nothing like the cultural differences. Nothing like being, I don't even like using African American. People of color. People who are different. Oh, you're just gonna hang me here. I'm gonna hang myself, actually. And that's actually another thing I wanted to ask you before I respond, and it has to do with hope. Do we need martyrs? Because seemingly we do. Because after Jesus, we always go back to JFK, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy. That's been my biggest fear, is that he's going to be another martyr. Obama. It's a fear of mine. At the same time, I keep thinking, to pose another question, I'd really like to hear about this. If these people were not lost tragically, and I sincerely mean tragically, but if they weren't immortalized in that period of time, wouldn't they probably have given themselves enough time to hang themselves in another situation? Again, before you react, you even responded and said that, Bill Clinton came in on hope and that whole tide. And he is alive and he's had plenty of time to hang himself and he did a really good job. So I just keep wondering if the tragedies had not happened, don't you kind of need the tragedy for the comedy? I'm going to use comedy because I think comedy is optimistic. But really, how can you have one without the other? It's human behavior. I'll get into the capitalism and everything else. I have a lot to say, unfortunately. Love politics. I try not to talk about it because I usually get myself into big time trouble. But as far as the Hillary Clinton thing goes, I really would like to say that since she has said this, I'm more concerned about McCain, or the fact that people aren't talking about that, or the people that aren't really thinking about, I don't know, I guess there's also a wave of nausea that I have because I fear an Obama-Clinton ticket, which is a nightmare in my mind, because in Heidi land, it's been Obama-Edwards. I have clips from almost a year ago with my prediction on that one. And also my fear of him being assassinated. I think it's a very real fear, and it's not to bring terror, it's not to, but it's also to be aware. I don't think we should live in fear. I do not live in fear. I don't want him to live in fear. But at the same time, there's reality. People don't usually like talking about reality because it can be unfortunate at times. Alright, I've just done enough here, and I could go on, and I'm going to get off the soapbox because I just, when it comes to discussing politics, I have a hard time because people tend to talk politically and not blunt, and I can be very blunt. It's just my little opinion. So again, thank you so much though for the I think for the good tuber. That's nice. And but damn you for throwing a political question at me with it. Happy Memorial Day, everybody, and I will get back to you with a proper video.